All right. Been a minute. What I know I need to do is for the next time I do one of these, I need to figure out one of those countdown timers because just sitting here awkwardly before anybody shows up to the stream is always weird. I'm probably going to be a little bit quieter than normal. Hey. Oh, I don't know, Andy. On my end, you are the second comment. Cia Schmitty came in first. But appreciate you with the silver, nonetheless. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. So in the efforts of reducing the processing power that I'm asking of my PC to have, I'm not running the microphone signal through any processing first. So just let me know if I'm at least loud enough where everybody can hear me. Lawn Care Dabbler, good evening. What is up, man? How's it going? Glad to see your renovations coming along. It's looking pretty good, although maybe some grub issues coming in here. Lawn Maverick, what's up? Appreciate you coming out, stopping by. That's awesome. Alrighty. So it's been a long time since I've done one of these. So I will be interested as always. I just, my goal with these is to hang out, get to know all of you. Anybody that wants to show up, hang out, ask some questions of me, get to know me. Ask some questions about lawns, ask some questions about golf, whatever. I have very much enjoyed the opportunity to get together on these live streams with all of you, and now that the days are getting shorter, I can't be outside doing stuff in the lawn right now, so where I want to be is right here talking to all of you. So I guess I can talk a little bit about me here to start. I know we've had a lot going on at our house here. We have a dumpster still in the driveway that we're throwing stumps and junk, and this guy had so much stuff. Like, he just had so much stuff here on the property. So we're getting all that thrown in the dumpster. We had an excavator for a week, which was just the dream. Like, I might have missed a calling there. Maybe if I was doing that for an 8-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour day, 5-6 days a week, like some of those guys that do that stuff, I wouldn't like it as much. But for a week, that was the dream. So basically now all of that buckthorn, all of those roots are out, and that is expanding the fairway. That'll all be bent grass next year. We're picking up about 2,000 square feet and some change of additional shortcut turf back there. That's going to be bent grass fairway to hit to. Hopefully in the future we can get the rest of that rock out of there. Up to the final stage of the putting green. Question is, when I get that the second practice facility, do I keep the existing green? I almost feel like I should. 2 greens in my backyard. Somebody's got to keep pace with the lawn tools, right? From fishing in Pulaski, New York. Had to view my 55-day-old flashlight. It's epic. Nice. Is that... I don't know if that's... I don't know what that means, Schmitty. I apologize. I assume that's something cool, but I don't know what it is. Andy, man, if you're still here, what are you up to? How's your project lawn? Keep the existing green for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We haven't seen a video from you for a while. Or my sub box is broken, and I apologize if you've been uploading this whole time and I just haven't seen any of your videos. Eagle Park Watermelon Milkshake IPA, by the way. Freaking delicious. But yeah, I almost feel like there's too much work that's going to go into having to undo the green, that I might as well just keep it. And honestly, it's 500 square foot putting green's not that much work, so the greens master can handle that and one more. Overseeded by hand with Blue Bank and Blue. Now, how big of an area are you overseeding by hand, man? I did like maybe 100 square feet and I had no, not even, yeah, 10 by maybe 200 square feet, and that was about as enough. That was about as much as I wanted to do. It's amazing once you start doing this stuff, you start getting excited and you start sweating. So might get some sweet midriff content here. OnlyFans. This is usually the stuff we reserve for the OnlyFans, but you know, when you're sweating, you're sweating. Keep it for sure. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think that's the play. Part of me kind of thinks it's ridiculous, but at the same time, why not? Hey, I appreciate it. I'm glad I'm able to help in any way that I can. Just keep seeding. Results are equal to what is seen on YouTube. Anyone can do it. Yeah, no, I mean that's the biggest thing that I want to always try and communicate as best as I can is I really do want to make it as clear as possible that there's nothing special about me. I mean, you know, maybe I'm halfway decent at digesting written product and instructions, and I can get a decent understanding of how stuff works that way, but there's nothing special about me, and if I can do it, I guarantee every single one of you can. And that's kind of the fun in doing this, is being able to be the, you know, averagest Joe possible doing some cool stuff and be able to encourage all of you. And just guys, don't forget me when all of the bigger YouTubers now have putting greens. Don't forget about the guy who, I wasn't the first. I'm stealing ideas from Ben and the Aussie Lawn, and let's see who else had them. Backwoods Lawn Care, Fried Eggs Golf, Backyard Golfer. There were a ton of people that had putting greens beforehand, but I like it's something that's super cool to be able to get all the comments and messages from people like, hey, I found your videos, watched your content. I'm starting a green in my backyard. You know, hey, I watched your videos, watched your content. You know, I've been able to do this, that, or the other thing. That's I've communicated this before, but I always hesitate a little bit because I don't like being the I recoil a little bit because I'm not an expert and I don't necessarily know what I'm doing to give somebody advice. I'm always a little worried I'm going to give somebody the wrong advice. But at the same time, it's cool to see all of the comments, messages I get about people who are trying to do cool stuff, and that's awesome. Super busy with school. Overseed a month ago. I do have the video. It's in the works. Yeah, man. It is finally raining here for the first time since like 2019, and it's freaking sweet. My yard looks unbelievable at the moment. Like, parts of the front yard look fake. It's awesome. Man, it's good to have rain. But yeah, no, I understand it. I get it. You got a school probably a little bit more important than the YouTube channel at this point in your life. What's the state of your pine trees? I got azaleas with bark scale, and it's been an uphill battle. My pine trees are still fighting. The two or three that I've really been trying to save and have been treating for the last 2 years now. Yeah, for the last 2 years now, are doing much better. They have showed clear improvement in terms of, you know, pretty much doing exactly what the county arborist told me was going to happen. It's basically you are treating the new growth. The tree's not dead; it's just diseased, and it's going to keep growing and it's going to keep doing all that stuff. You just have to protect the new growth. So I've been able to keep probably 70 or 80% of all the new growth that those trees have put on, and they're really starting to look better, which is really exciting. Ryan, what's up, man? Happy to have you hanging out. Scott's a mesotrione. Can leave, yeah, and it depends on when you use the mesotrione in the grass's life cycle as well, because obviously the newer it is, the more susceptible it's going to be to any herbicide. And yeah, it'll definitely frost some of the tips, but that just grows out, and it's no worries at all. And I think I can finally say with some degree of confidence that Mesotrione is a very, very pivotal. Let's not get too carried away with hyperbole. It's helpful in the renovation process because now I have done 4 renovations in my front yard, section by section. That 2 and 2. 2 I used tenacity or mesotrione. 2 I did not, and it is a large difference in terms of the weed pressure I have in the renovation this fall not using it than the weed pressure I had last fall using it. It made a massive difference. So I will definitely, I still don't think it's necessary. It's going to be easy enough for me to spray all those weeds out. It's not going to be a problem. But it can definitely make your life a lot easier. I was just too lazy to put it down when I seeded. Yeah. No, and I think I generally don't worry too much about the the various 1/3 rules. Realistically all of the rules, because I see them for I think how they should be seen, which is those are best practice recommendations and guidelines. There was like actual like strawberry that came out of here. I don't know. There was some thick stuff in there. We're not going to worry about it though. And so if you have to, if it rains for a week and your grass goes bonkers and you gotta, it's 8 inches tall and you got to cut it back down to 3 inches, that is not an issue. The issue with mowing, and what's super critical is the people who mow their yard every 14 days at 2 inches. Those people cannot and will not ever have a nice yard. It just isn't going to happen. But if you're generally doing your best with mowing schedules and you gotta hacker a couple times just because it got away from you 2, 3, 4, 5 times throughout the year, ain't gonna matter. Not a problem. Oh, then it makes a bit of a mess. Yeah, Backwood's been raining up by him for a little bit. It's so good to have it rain. It's so refreshing. It's been so long. Debbie Gaskell, evening. How's it going? Thank you for stopping by. Any poetry in your region? Honestly, I have no freaking clue how to identify grasses. Literally no clue. I might have poetry. No idea. I know I do have some Poa annua. That is a very easy one. That one is very obvious and easy to identify. I can identify that one, and I do have some of that throughout. No idea if I have poetry. I think a lot of what I have is either like barnyard grass or like some old school K31 type goofy fescue. And then I got another kind of wispy fella that seems to move via rhizome in the backyard. And I got some nutsedge. But the only ones that I know I have for sure are some nutsedge in the front in the ditch where it gets wet, and some Poa annua in a couple spots in the back. Beyond that, I have no idea what problem grasses I have. I mean, it took me, let's be honest, it took me 2 years to figure out I had bent grass, and that was the issue. Anybody got any mid-renovation or anything? Anything like that going on that is going well for you? I was pretty pleased with the last video that went up. If you haven't watched that yet, check it out. I got pretty sizable bare spots in my renovation. I got a bunch of weeds, all that stuff. It's not something to be overly worried about. It's not something to panic about. It'll all be just fine. But how is everyone else's going? Kangaroo Rugad? What's up? Happy Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. Warm temps in the fall. I have a feeling we'll be mowing late into the season. Hoping I'm stays into November. Yeah, actually, I have some pictures last year. We got some happy, healthy weather for a long time as well. It was nice. So yeah, hopefully we can get that again where, you can realistically get a good looking mow in. I think I did cut like on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving. I have a video on the channel from last year. Nice. I mean, not nice that grubs killed off your yard, but hopefully the Dialox helps you out. Ooh, Ryan, I do not know if I saw it. I know I saw one a couple days ago where you showed it like kind of um, through the renovation process and all the verticutting again. Oh, would you look at that, David? That your green has something mine never has, which is that wraparound tree kind of feel to it, or like that just legitimately feels like it's an actual golf course. That is fantastic. And yes, Debbie, to your comments, I it depends on the school of thought. Kentucky bluegrass will repair itself for free on its own for you. Ryegrass and fescue are very easy to fix as well. You just throw some seed out, a week later you have a lawn again. But for me, I love the idea of not having to buy any more seed and just having that thing fill back in and just living the dream. With the walkway, we had probably like 6 to 8 inches or so where we dug the dirt back just to have room to work in there, and then filled that back in. Kentucky bluegrass has probably already made it halfway back to the sidewalk, and probably mid next year that'll all be filled back in again. Don't have to worry about seeding. Don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Just let it do its thing. It's our only competitor in the warm season grass space. In one very small run of the season, pre-germination. Nice. That would actually be turf culture. Yeah, turf culture did a video on pre-germinating seed that I'm gonna be honest I didn't watch because I have probably not gonna do that, but I think it would be really interesting if it's something that actually works and enough people start doing it where it seems like a really feasible way of going about it. I'm gonna have to look into that if I have any future tasks like that. Snowy Riverman, mid-renovation, reseeded ryegrass in the front yard because of the rain and humid conditions. I can mow after work today. I have fungus all over the place. What should I do? I mean, fungicide is the obvious answer. The only thing that I would caution on a little bit, and I've looked on a couple different labels and had a hard time finding anything on what the age of grass has to be for to be safe for fungicides. I think it's generally fine, but I am not certain. And you would have to know what disease it is, or at least try to get close to what it is. Either look at pictures and compare it to what you have. The simplest solution is to just try something in the land of like a disease X, something like that, and see if that helps. Obviously, I don't want to make a recommendation that's wrong, but at the same time, just because you can have issues with now the disease can become resistant of something if you use it when you're not supposed to. But definitely the easiest place to start is just disease X and see if that helps. And if it doesn't, then you can look to the next active ingredient. But if you're able to figure out what type of disease it is, then you can look for the product specifically that will address that. And that's an easy fix. The only issue is once you have disease problems and you're starting to fight disease problems, fungicides are far and above the most expensive products that I use. Some of the commercial grade liquids start to make it reasonably affordable again, but like Disease X is something like $4 per thousand, which is pretty spendy. And the Bio Advanced one that most of your hardware stores are going to carry as well is the same price. It's not gross, but if you have a bigger yard, it starts to add up pretty quick. Nice. Yeah, that's with Kentucky bluegrass. That's the biggest thing. Is anytime anything goes wrong, you just leave it alone, continue to fertilize, continue to mow it, and you are going to be back in business. Jordan Narlock did the same thing here in Michigan. Reseeded my front yard, looked amazing, and the next day I had fungus everywhere. Yeah. The only disease issues I've had in any of my renovations here in Wisconsin is I've had rust, which pretty much every fungicide, like readily available ones, is oxystrobin and propiconazole, both will treat rust. And yeah, you definitely hate to see that when you're using the spendier seed and it starts to fight a losing battle with something. Hey Justin, Kentucky bluegrass does that big time. That some I don't remember who coined it, but somebody has coined it. Maybe is it Jason G? Did Jason G coin it? Somebody coined the phrase "sprout and pout," where basically Kentucky bluegrass will germinate, and then and then once it's germinated, it dedicates a bunch of energy into root development, and it just stops growing. So like you'll get germination, and then it'll just sit there for like a really really long time. Kentucky bluegrass takes forever. I think all the grasses do that to some degree, maybe with the exception of rye, which just jumps up and is, instant yard in a can, basically. Yeah, Andy, the problem is it depends on what liquid. Eagle 20W, I think it is the one that I've started using recently. And it's a much bigger investment up front, but it's a much much smaller expense after the fact. So let's see if I can bring y'all here. So this is a list of basically every product that I use just to kind of keep track of what I'm spending. So let's see. Headway G, which is, I had actually a ton of success with Headway G. I really liked it, but I just flat out can't afford to use it because it's almost $100 a bag. It's azoxystrobin and propiconazole. It's a great product. Like I said, I had great success with it, but it's $850 per thousand, and I'm treating 17,000 square feet at the time. Now going forward with the final renovation in the front, I'm going to be up over 20,000 square feet. So it's $160, $170 application, and I can't do that every month. And I have a pretty good disease problem here, and I need to be doing it every month. And so it's just not okay. Versus this Eagle 20. So rather than Headway G, which is an $85 bag, so that's less, but I need 2 of those to cover my yard. Versus Eagle 20, I believe this is a gallon. Yeah, 128 ounces, so it's a gallon. $210 to buy, but then it's only $1.60 per 1,000 square feet. Then I know they do recommend rotating through fungicides as best as you can. A gallon is going to last. I think it's a little over an ounce per thousand for my grass type and the diseases I'm trying to control. So let's say I'm going to use 20 ounces a month. So I'm going to get a year or 2 out of this, as opposed to a month out of Headway at like $200. And then I don't know if I have, and Disease X is $4, and I don't know if I have Bio Advanced. I don't have the Bio Advanced in here, but that's about $4 per thousand as well. So if you do the bulletproof strategy, which is Disease X and Bio Advanced, that starts to play in the Headway G space as well. So if you want to start to get serious about fungicide programs, the best option for you is going to be to get into some of these commercial fungicides, and then again keeping in mind making sure you at least have some idea what your disease is that you're fighting, and making sure that the fungicide that you get is labeled to treat that. Heavy, fuzzy, and white. What is that? Was it like powdery mildew? Is that what that is? Anybody want to help? I'm not a big identification guy. I'd trust the powers at Google for that one. Okay, this weekend to help harden off for winter. Yeah, I got what I got 100 and what's math? I got 200 pounds of a 10-10-10 in the garage. 40 of those pounds are for the brother-in-law, 40 of those pounds are for the mother-in-law, and 120 of those pounds are for me. So we put that down at about 6/10 of a pound of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And then we're going to grab a soil test on my lawn and the brother-in-law, just to see, because I've been pretty intentional about trying to address my pH this year. So I've done a straight up sulfur application to try to bring my pH down, and I've done 2 ammonium sulfate applications now at about 3 pounds per thousand. So, and have been hammering nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium pretty much all year to just try to see if I can start to address. I'm also going to do a my soil versus either my local extension or somebody else, just to, I think I want to make the transition to a lab soil test going forward. Not because I think my soil is a bad test or useless. I just kind of want to see what they both say and kind of make that transition for myself. I think that my soil test is the best option for beginners, and I know there's a ton of controversy around that, and quite frankly, I don't particularly care. It's information, and from what I've seen, it's not inaccurate information. Maybe it's not calibrated, but it's still data on what's in your soil, and to at least have some degree of an understanding of what you're looking at and what direction you should go. And I understand that maybe that's not the textbook answer, but honestly, I just don't care. We're trying to help people who have no interest in soil testing make that as easy as possible, and they've done that. I'm just curious on what the difference is. Is it like a sulfate of potash, like an 0048, or what do you got there, Ryan? Let's see. Have I missed anything? No. 2 weeks after, looking perfect. I get these cobweb. Oh, the cobwebs are, shoot. Somebody help me. Somebody in the chat's got to know what the cobwebs are. What is that? It's at the tip of my tongue. It's a dollar spot? I thought dollar spot was something else. Dollar spot doesn't feel right. Somebody help. Man, maybe it is dollar. So it's got to be dollar spot. I mean, it could be the mites as well. But the cobweb is definitely, the cobweb is dollar spot. Pythium feels right too. I don't know. I'm not this guy. I don't want to be this guy. Yes, there we go. I knew dollar spot didn't feel right. Apparently, maybe it does have a spider web as well, according to a quick Google search. But I think Pythium is what I was thinking. Thank you, Next Level Lawn Care. Much appreciated. And Andrew Zabo, who beat you to it. But thank you, and Lawn Maverick. All of you. Thank you. Much appreciated. Let's see. Head rust. Yeah, that's what we have here. My neighbor's got it really bad, and I've had it really bad ever since we moved in. I don't know if it's I water out of a well, and when I water the front yard, it is not treated. It's straight out of the well, straight to the spigot in the front. I got a Hunter rotator that is now completely orange. The last sprinkler in the chain, that where it just kind of all leaks out and drains out, that sprinkler head is literally just orange. Propiconazole 14.3 in liquid is relatively inexpensive. Yeah, you have to get to those higher concentration kind of commercial grade fungicides, and that's when it starts to become affordable. Otherwise, the big box store or that Headway that I was using, those are very, very spendy. Oh, 25, okay. Yeah, that'll do it too. You going 2, 3, 4 pounds per thousand? How heavy we sending her with the potassium? Zach Arsenault, welcome, man. Thanks for stopping by. The putting green is with some. We finally got some rain now, and I've been pounding it from pounding it, man. About 0.3 of a pound of nitrogen a week. I'm putting out there, and it's starting. It's trying its best. It's really starting to get there. We've gotten some rain. Still some bare spots towards the bottom, but the top is really starting to fill in, and I'm just still fighting against worm castings. I think what I'm going to do, I think next spring, one of the first things I do out there is I have a like 1.5 inch, one of those auger drill bits for a drill. And I think it's 1 inch or 1.5 inches. And I'm going to go out and aerate with that down 6 or 8 inches, and then top dress with sand and fill those holes all the way full, and try to see if I can't get that soil composition to change up a little bit and maybe start to address some of the worm issues. But at the same time, I mean, worms are going to be good for, you know, for the soil, so I don't want to get too carried away with trying to make it stop. I'm probably better off just dealing with worms than I am trying to make my soil a place that worms don't want to be. Put down some disease X to stop it, but I'll have to reseed it again. Snowy River Man, what type of grass you got? And how extensive was the problem? And how much patience do you have? Those are probably the three factors. 4 factors. Princess Cut Lawn Care, George, what's up? If I had a soundboard, I'd be playing some sort of hype sounds here at the moment. And yeah, well, I was talking about that a little bit earlier. The rain has been a fantastic blessing for the yard. My front yard is starting to near fertilizer bag territory. Ooh. I'm gonna be shaking those cans up a little bit from now on. I don't know what's in the I don't know what's on the bottom of that, but it's not great. Lawn Maverick, yeah, and I think so I've used the Yard Butler. I think the Yard Butler manual aerator. So basically the 2 little tines off of the end of a thing. Turf Mechanic uses that thing and it pulls cores. I use that thing and it pulls 1 core, which jams up the tube, and it pulls no more cores. So I've basically just spike aerated the green a couple times. This spring I did the same thing. I spike aerated it, and then backfilled all those holes with sand is the only top dress that I did this year. I should really top dress more often than I did, but honestly, I just never, you know, between landscaping, between having the excavator, between the renovation, between all the stuff that I've done this year, I just haven't had the time or desire. I've had the time. I haven't had the combination of time and desire to go make a trip and get some sand and keep top dressing. I just haven't wanted to. All right. You lost about half. Do you know if you have Kentucky bluegrass and you're patient, that'll fill itself in, you know, probably by next July-ish. Next August-ish. If you have rye or fescue, if you're in, you know, a more northern climate and you have cool season and it's mostly rye and fescue, yeah, you're gonna have to seed again. I don't remember what you said. It might have been. I think it was Jordan that had the Barenbrug RPR. I don't think you said what you planted. Today I made a mistake. I cut it's wet. Like, it's just muddy and wet. And I've been trying to cut the new grass every day or two just to try to keep encouraging it to move sideways to fill in some of the spots that I have. And so I was walking my mower back up my driveway, and I did like a couple wheel taps to just see if I can knock out some of the stuff that had built out in the deck, and it dropped so much wet grass onto my driveway. That was an oops. Wouldn't recommend doing that. And yes, George bringing in the negativity here, reminding us all that the season's almost over for us folks here in the north, and realistically anywhere that's not Florida or places that aren't in the U.S. I thought you said you lied to me then. I asked you the other day if your bluegrass filled in, and you said it did. Mine, whatever I have, that midnight blue bank in Mazama, I think, that stuff runs pretty aggressively. Not like Bermuda runs, but it runs. You're getting snow tomorrow? Oh no. Oh no. Ryegrass. Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to seed again. But the beauty is it's ryegrass, and depending on where you're located, you can probably even do that this fall still. You can get it to germinate quick enough and get it up and ready to go. To survive winter, assuming you live in a place that has winter. I'm gonna guess Snowy Riverman lives in a place that has winter, but I could be wrong. Oh yeah, 100% Andy. Absolutely, we're gonna have. That's really interesting. I'm curious, George, because your shortcut. And Connor is shortcut as well. And it seems as though, like, Connor's bare areas didn't fill in, and now it seems like yours didn't. My tall cut stuff fills in so fast. And yeah, the ryegrass is definitely going to solve all your problems. Willie Olds, hey man, thank you so much for stopping by, and it's always humbling to hear that somebody has actually learned something from me. So I appreciate that. That's awesome. Colorado, okay, that makes sense. You're out there with the 3-month season, folks. Thoughts and prayers are with you during this trying time. Let's see, what else is going on? What else can I talk about? What, anybody know anything about bent grass? What kind of bent grass should I put in my yard? Right now I'm between T1 and Alpha. Somebody hit me with some bent grass knowledge. I know John put in T1, I believe, for his green is T1. And I would imagine Jimmy's is also T1 because he probably just went halvesies on seed. If I had to guess, I don't know that. That's a complete guess. See, no, I know it's easier to hide, but even just walking on it, it's full. Like, it's thick. And I don't even know what kind of grass I have in my backyard, but basically every winter my dog kills about a basketball and a half size circle just off our deck, and that fills in by June or July pretty much every year. And I do think it seems as though everyone that gets an opportunity to everyone that gets an opportunity to put ryegrass down becomes a very big fan very quickly. I am smitten with the bluegrass in the front. But I distracted myself. I am curious to see, I have that little patch along the side of the driveway by the landscaping bed, and that I'm mowing at 4/10 of an inch, and I'm curious to see if that's slower to fill in. But I can say I have probably about a basketball sized circle, and I already have new plants, probably 3, 4, 5 new plants that have come up in the middle of that circle already. Yeah, I think that's one of the main ones that Barenbrug. They have most of them. L93, there's a ton of them. Pretty much all the seed distributors do all of them. Part of me wants to Because basically most of those companies sell bent grass in like 5-gallon pails, and it's obnoxiously expensive. One thing I've found is United Seed, which I think is where JP got his from as well, will sell smaller quantities, and that's a little bit more affordable and a little bit more reasonable for the purposes that we're going to have in our yards. And so I need to reach out to United Seeds and see if they want to be the official seed sponsor of Backyard Golf. Because especially with how many people are starting to do it, and if some of the other creators have already purchased from them, and you know, I probably have 15 or 20 people who have messaged me or commented, if not in YouTube comments even more, who have tried the bent grass thing. And I feel like that's, as more and more channels do it, you're going to see more and more people start to do it. And I would just love to not have to pay for the seed to expand the practice facility. Yeah, and I'm actually gonna, I'll actually have it, because I'm gonna have the couple the side little yard section has done a lot better than the front, where I'm gonna have massive bare areas again. But if you go back, I have pictures from like the phase 3, which would have been what I did last fall, and it was really slow to come in. So like coming out of this spring, it was super thin. And let's see if I can find, I gotta find the video. I'm not gonna be able to. Too much pressure. But anyway, yeah, I've had great experience with bluegrass getting like thick, pretty much on its own over time, and not needing any help. Let's see. But this was like mid-April here. And you can see down at the bottom where it was like the largest bare spots, there's still bare spots. But this isn't, and I know it's shot from the side, and I know you were saying it's easier to hide bare spots when it's tall. But I can promise you, out here, where it looked like this, is thick. And even through here, there's some. You can kind of see there's a little bit left in there. But now, if you walk out there right now, it's just as thick as the rest of my yard. All of this is all filled in. But that's just, obviously, every yard, every cultivar, every experience is going to be different. Poetry. Is it, I think it's, isn't Poa annua the putting green grass? Electronic drums and real low turf. I know somebody else who does that, except you actually know how to play drums. I've taught myself casually for like 2 years. So there's probably a bit of a skill gap there. That's pretty funny though. Yeah, and I think, I don't know if maybe my backyard will end up being Kentucky bluegrass and rye, just to kind of get the best of both worlds, where that bluegrass will fill in. The only thing I haven't decided is what I'm going to make my side yard. Is if I make my side yard an extension of fairway off the future practice facility, it'll give me about like 60 yards or so from the road. Or if I go with like a rye and just try that. But we'll see. But I do think there are golf courses to next level, to your point. There are absolutely golf courses that have just Poa annua. Or something that would be interesting would be like a Chewings fescue as well, and experiment with that. Grace Ortiz, what is up? I will always say The first time Grace commented on one of my videos is when I knew I made it. That was when I knew I made it. That is the yardstick with which I measured my success. Kyle, man, the even the people with terrible yards around me right now, the grass looks unreal. I've gotten 2 inches of rain in the last like week or two that layered itself on top of an AMS application. Like, my yard looks unbelievable right now. Is Poetriv a broader leaf blade? That was what I thought the difference was. Is I thought Poetriv was a little bit broader, a little thicker leaf blade than Poa annua, which is very fine. Andrew asking, how are the worm castings treating you? My putting green looks like that picture that I posted to YouTube and Instagram. It looks like that every single morning. If it rains, the green looks like that every single morning. The only time it doesn't is if it gets really dry. And then I long for the time when I had worm castings, because then basically the green dies off very quickly. I don't know about the gatekeeper, but it was just like so supportive of like all of the content creators that I felt like I'd finally made it into the club. Andy, thank you so much for stopping by, man. Have a great night. And I will absolutely look forward to that. Speaking of project lawns, I am super pleased with the sequence of events that we had around these parts at my brother-in-law's house. And I wasn't pleased with it until the last time I went over there, and if any of you would have seen the last video. But we got so little rain this year, and so much heat and sun and all of that. My brother-in-law didn't change his mowing habits. He didn't water ever. And still, basically, it looks amazing now. There's very few weeds in there. The grass is starting to fill in, thicken up. Now, I would imagine now it looks incredible. I'm excited to get over there to do this last application of the year and see what it's looking like. But that was super reassuring for me that I think I kind of tried to be very intentional and put together something that was very cheap and as easy as possible. And I'm going to wrap around that series again next year, because I think what I didn't do well enough, and shout out to Ron Henry and some of the other guys, some of the other creators, and kind of walking me through. That was a series I was very excited about making. And with either how I presented it or how I marketed it or how I thumbnailed it, it was a series that very few people watched. So we're going to wrap back around with that next year, and I'm going to really, really break that down application by application, process by process, to show every single step and everything that anyone would need to know to follow along, because I really believe that is a good start to anyone to get into lawn care. And I'm hoping that I have some people that have followed along to that program throughout the season, the cheap and easy lawn care program that I've been doing at my brother-in-law's house, because the results have been so good. And we spent $100. Basically, on my lunch, I went over there 8 times throughout the year. I don't even live at the house. I was just able to get over there 8 times, do 8 applications, and we flipped a yard of. He's never, ever, 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 ever taken care of it. Never fertilized, never killed weeds, didn't care, still doesn't care. And with that, kind of able to flip a yard. So I'm really excited to kind of continue to follow along with that, because I believe it's kind of important. Us lawn care nuts tend to get very serious and very over the top, and I continue to do that in my yard, and I will continue to do that in my yard. But I think providing that insight into it doesn't actually take this much, and you can be very successful in a very short period of time with very little effort is exciting. How to get rid of voles? Well, not mouse traps with peanut butter. I can tell you that. I got The utility was through the roof. Utility in terms of usefulness, or utility in the utility bills because you think he was watering? How to get rid of voles. I have a nice little racetrack going through the Kentucky bluegrass in the front that they all chewed out and dug up. And so I have some mouse traps out there. And basically what has happened is I've caught one vole in the mouse traps. And then in all the other ones, every single time, they eat all the peanut butter out of it without tripping the trap, which is just mind-blowing for a blind animal that they can eat peanut butter out of a trap and not get caught in it. I don't understand. To an LCO. Lawn care operator? Lawn care. Oh, God, I'm so dumb. Oh, got it. Yes. Yeah, it's so cheap. So, I mean, it's $25 per 1,000 square feet. And I have the receipts, if in the math. If anybody... And actually, you know what? While we're talking about it, and while I got the spreadsheet open... Scratch that, I don't have that spreadsheet open. Hold. Forgot that's a standalone thing that I have. Yeah, with the... I gotta move me. Whee! Yeah, I mean, this was it. And I ran... You can't click... Jason, you can't click in OBS and select the Excel document, you moron. I'm over here. And that's what we did. Granted, the fact I flipped May and April. But that's everything that I bought and put down. That is the per 1,000 square foot cost. Excuse me. That's the application cost. Total. And that's the per 1,000 square feet. That's it. $26 per 1,000 square feet. And it's not going to be... His yard is never going to look as good as mine. It's just not. My mowing habits are better. I water. I have better cultivars of grass. I'm on it more. His yard's never going to look like mine. But 99% of the people are never going to make a lawn look like mine or like Kyle's or George's or Alan's or on and on and on and on and on. Most people are not going to do that. This is so attainable. And I like the phrase you used, Lawn Maverick, is the kind of utility and versatility of it is... It's awesome. That's a crowning achievement for me. I'm very, very proud of that. Castor oil based products. Where do you use those? Is that, I don't know if that's something that's safe to use actually in your green space, or if that's something you use around the perimeter or something. I see Edward has already asked the same question. Hawaiian Times, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And you are welcome. I really enjoy the process of making videos, and I'm super happy to find out anytime somebody thinks that I'm useful. So appreciate it. Will not hurt your lawn as long as you don't absolutely saturate it. Oh, man. I don't know why I'm always going to laugh at people who are able to make an Exxon Valdez reference. That's hilarious. Not because what happened with Exxon Valdez is funny, but I just think it's hilarious to make references and tie that into other conversations. Hawaiian Times, I am getting those $8 bags of Milo around the Milwaukee area. So I guess, to be fair, and that's a great question, is I am cheating a little bit as a member of the Milorganite supply chain. Steins and Ace Hardware. Actually, I missed the Steins sale by a day. At one point, Steins, not too far from my house, had 7 bags for $35. So I benefit from being local. I am from the Milwaukee area, so Milo is still very cheap around here. So figure if you either take a let's make this a Home Depot priced Milorganite program, or $120 and $30 per 1,000, or I don't know if anybody has prices of a competitor like a Milo clone, what those cost. We could build those in here too, and see where you get. But yeah, okay, I am cheating a little bit, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I'm cheating a little as being a Milwaukee resident. Nathan, I appreciate that that clarification. Yeah, I'm not gonna be out there. Shit, now I can't remember the drag race guy that drove in a castor oil thing and won every event all the time. I'm not gonna go out there with castor oil. Does work. Now is a good time to put it down to drive them from. Yeah, because I'll have the little vole tunnels all over the place come spring. Yeah. Yeah, and I know that $16 price is the normal. I'm just fortunate enough to have, like I said, Ace Hardware is almost always $7 or $8, and then every so often, and Stein's is pretty much always $8, and every so often they run a really good deal. Just laid sod and found out I have voles. Surprise! I am drinking a watermelon milkshake IPA from a local brewery, Eagle Park. It's really good. Their regular milkshake IPA is really good, and I love anything that's watermelon flavored, so. Right now, I'm just drinking the sediment from the bottom of the can, which that's not great, but right up until then, it was really good. It's a Prill. This is like a granular product, basically. John Force, thank you so much. Yes. John Force had some of the greatest interviews ever in sports. Just a gentleman that has basically sat at the back of rocket-fueled powered vehicles, just siphoning freaking fumes off of this thing and just shouting into a microphone after winning every single weekend. Oh man, I love John Force. John Force interviews. Me and my dad will still laugh about that. Thank you so much for bringing. Plus, it's a great name. How good of a name is John Force? That's a man that was meant to drive 3-second quarter miles. Oh man, his face would just be black, and he'd just be shouting into the microphone, just nonsense. Just the NASCAR version of Leon Spinks. Just an idiot. But God, really good at pressing the gas pedal. Appleton area. Interesting. Not gonna lie, I was not expecting Hawaiian Times to be from Appleton, Wisconsin. I feel like I grew up in the Fox Valley. I'm from Oshkosh. I feel like you make it down to the Milwaukee area all the time. Pull into Stein's or an Ace Hardware off of 45 on your way back home. Load up 6-10 bags. Good for the season. Because it is still, I mean, as much as it kind of became a meme, and then as much as people kind of started to walk away from it because of the phosphorus issues, it's still a fantastic fertilizer for June, July, August. Childhood hero, man. That's awesome. Yeah, me and my dad always would watch drag racing, just to get a John Force interview. The best. But yeah, hop off of 45 on your way back from a Bucks game, or whatever, a Brewer game, whatever you're coming down to the Milwaukee area for. Find you an Ace Hardware and get yourself some $7 bags of Milorganite. Height cut on the rest of the lawn is 2.5 inches until the heat kicks in. Then I go to 3.5 until the heat gives way, and then I go down to 3. So right now, anything you're seeing that's content that I'm posting, anything that I'm putting to Instagram, anything I'm putting on YouTube right now, backdrop to that renovation video, if you watched it, or any of my recent videos where I'm in the front, the backdrop of that is 3 inches. So the putting green right now is cut at 1/8 of an inch. The fairway, a little strip along the side of my driveway, and the side yard are cut at 4/10 of an inch. Everything else is at 3 inches. Yeah, Nathan, no, I absolutely agree. It's because like I could solve the problem with a sandier root zone mix. But I think and Backwoods Lawn Care attests to this quite often is and maybe this is a good question for you actually too, and kind of what you're managing is if you're in a golf course space or if you have a backyard putting green or whatever it is that once you transition into that sandier sand majority root zone mix, is everything becomes much harder to manage, and for a homeowner to do that well becomes quite a bit more difficult. But maybe you have a different experience, and I'd be interested to find that out as well. It's Hawaiian Times. It's awesome, and congrats on an excellent lady friend that brought you to the right part of the world. Cheese curds, man. Honestly, like it's just cheese curds. That was a wild lesson that I learned when I started my job and I started traveling. People outside of Wisconsin, like literally I was in Chicago with people from Chicago, and we were all at a bar, we were drinking, and me and the guys that I was there with that were from Wisconsin were like, man, some fucking cheese curds right now would be fantastic. And everyone else looked at us like we were insane. They had no idea what cheese curds were, which is bonkers. But honestly, once you get up here, our dedication to bratwurst and cheese, you can't leave that. One, you can't leave that because your heart stopped beating and you're dead. Two, it's delicious. You can't leave that. You gotta stay. Crush brats, grilled foods, and cheese until your heart stops. How'd you get rid of the ants, Backwoods? Let's see. What do we got here? First time I've ever seen a worm was this past weekend. Let the green grow out after a heavy top dress. Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's good to know. Do you notice fert and fungicide every other weekend? Okay. And that was it. Excuse me, and that was the biggest mistakes that I made, is I didn't stay on it enough through the summer. I lost a lot of the green over the summer just because I wasn't watering enough, and I fell behind on fungicide, and I fell behind on PGR and all that stuff. So that'll be the lesson that I take into next year, and hopefully I have a dedicated sprinkler set up back there now. Neem oil, that's right, okay. And you obviously have a lot of that, you pothead. Sorry, I got friends messaging me. Let's see. Edward, new sod, should I let it grow till roots take? I have no experience with sod. What I do know is you should water it pretty much like new seed, but with a little bit difference, where you want to keep that area just below the sod wet the whole time. And basically then once it gets established, and I would say once you can walk on it and pull on it and it doesn't come up, I would say you're safe to cut. And once you start cutting it regularly, you start to encourage it to send a little bit more of its energy and efforts into rooting and growing sideways as well. So I wouldn't like scalp it immediately or get too aggressive with it, but I know John got on his pretty early and was cutting it as well. So worm castings. The lawn care company told us that it's supposed to be like natural aeration. It is. I mean, it's not true, right? Because basically they're just digging tunnels through your soil at all times, and basically the worm castings is from them coming up, and I don't know if they're defecating on the putting green or if it's just the soil that they bring up with them, or if it's just I don't know the biology of it, but yeah, there's holes all over the place where the worm breached up onto the surface and then went back down. So yes, to some degree, it is absolutely helping from a aerification and soil health, and there's a lot of benefit. It's just in shortcut turf, the worm castings really do cause some problems. What else we got? Questions about lawns, putting greens, questions about me as a person. Fun and exciting stuff you guys have been up to. How long have we been going here? Hour and 6? Alright. We're good. Look at, is the bottom of this glass just black? Down the hatch. Yeah, that's not very good. Beer's very good. That last swallow was not very good. Also, Nathan mentioned the hungriness of the bentgrass. That's what I've started as well. As I've started to basically fertilize every week. I need to get out there and do it now, but it's been raining pretty much nonstop for a couple days, which I'm not for a second going to complain about. I assume, Ryan, you are asking me about my leaf situation and not my leave situation, like how many days off I can take here in the near future. My property has ash trees in the back. Shut up, Jake. I would like to know when my next... sorry. Damn it, Jake. Ash trees in the back. They drop leaves pretty late, and maybe 2-3 mows and we're good. The biggest issue I have is my neighbor has huge oak and maple trees, and so basically from now until the end of the year I have to bag over on the side yard like every 2 days, which isn't overly fun. But the vast majority of the trees on my lot are either dying ash trees that don't drop that many leaves because they're dying, or they're big pine trees. Also, Jake, I will give you the opportunity to laugh at me. Maybe after next week. Next Friday, if it's nice enough, I might try to go play 9 holes in the afternoon and do that again. Give you an opportunity to increase the interaction on my videos. Also, by the way, for any of those wondering, not a hater, just a guy I grew up playing golf with, worked in a golf store with, still manages said golf store, which is nice to have. That's where I got my wedges from. By the way, some of you are from the not Midwest, from the Fox Valley area. If you are from the Fox Valley area and you do play golf, go see Jake at Golfers Outlet in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Just off of 41 and what is that, 44? 21? 44? Over by the, not in the outlet mall, but by the outlet mall. You're welcome, asshole. That's it. Yeah, that's good to know on like the tarping and protection. I didn't do any of that last year. I just let it be. I kept it. It actually got its shortest mow of its life last fall on December 10th. We had that like random stretch of time where it was like 55 degrees in December last year, and I cut it at 1/4 of an inch in December, and then didn't cover it. And we were using little like ski boards on it and running on it and playing on it, and it did just fine over the winter. That's good to know though. Where do you get something like that? Is it like a heat blanket? Or like a heating tarp or something like that? Or just Google growth tarp and I'll find what I need. Mine's actually still usable right now. Even though it's pretty wet right out there right now, we could absolutely go out there and use it right now. But I also benefit from the fact that mine's on like the side of a hill, so it drains pretty well. Let's see. Plans coming up, not much. I think it's probably about as good of a time as any to wrap up the stream here. Again, as always, I very much enjoy this, and I am super thankful to all of you for coming out, hanging out, interacting in the chat. That's exactly why I do this, because I really do appreciate and enjoy everybody commenting and kind of driving this conversation. So thank you so much to all of you for stopping by as I reach my peak in current viewers, only to leave. But yes, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate all of the support for the channel. All of the growth recently. Appreciate all the kind words. And you all have yourselves a great evening.